Hello everyone, my name is Norman. Did you notice anything just now when I waved at you? It was my attention test. Did you see my hand? I have 6 fingers. Here it is, my little one right there. I named it Tom. I know it might be a little disgusting or scary for you to look at. At first, I was kind of uncomfortable too. But then I found out what it was for, and it was phenomenal. In general, I was born with 5 fingers on my hands and feet, like everyone else, and I lived like this until I was 15. And then one day, my guys and I decided to go to an island. It was not far from ours. We heard legends that there is a certain square that is not visible to ordinary human eyes. But if you find it, step over it and get out, you get cool powers. Of course, my friends and I have always been interested in learning more about it. The newspapers wrote that it was not there, at least the journalist didn't find it. But it seemed to me and the guys that it just doesn't open up to everyone. But what if it is only seen by those he chooses? We packed up for a long time, told our parents that we were going to spend the night with Glenn, my friend, and then, having collected all the necessary things, we moved to the island. We had to swim across one bay. It was narrow, so the crossing time took a little more than an hour. As soon as we reached the island, a warm breeze blew in our faces. Glenn called it a good sign. My grandfather used to say that when a warm wind blows in your face, it's a good sign. Dude, let me fart in your face. That's a good sign too. Are you a moron? What? It's also warm and even with a smell. I had pasta for breakfast. Do you want it? For good luck, huh? Get off me, man. Hey dudes, look there. As soon as we walked 200 meters, it seemed to me that a rainbow was shining on the ground. It was strange because there was no rain, no dew, but there was a rainbow. I thought it was a sign, so I decided to check it out. Gentlemen, we're at the peak of the greatest discovery. Actually, the discovery has already been made. The legends are based on them. Don't spoil the moment. Turn on the camera. I left my things on the ground and walked towards the rainbow. As soon as I touched it with my hand, it hurt so much that I screamed. And then the island shuddered. The sky abruptly became overcast and it began to rain. At some point, I wanted to go to Glenn to grab his hand, but then the ground collapsed and I screamed and fell down. I didn't fall for long, and when I did, I found a flashlight in my backpack and turned it on. Ah! A former person sat next to me, or rather, what was left of him. It was his skeleton. After a few steps, I looked all around. It was something like an underground passage. The tunnel led off into the distance, but there was no passage from above, as if the ground had tightened. There was not enough air, and I began to suffocate a little. In addition to the fear, I also had a panic. And what if I was stuck there forever? After all, not everyone gets out, judging by that dude at the entrance. Then the same warm breeze came from above, and I followed it. After a couple of minutes, I found myself in some kind of underground hole. There were 3 boxes in the middle, and on top of them was a half-erased sign on a piece of paper. Choose one of them. I opened the one in the middle, but I couldn't see anything. A sharp pain shot across my arm again, and I lost consciousness. I woke up to Josh slapping me in the face, shouting, "Wake up, wake up!" And next to me, Glenn was crying like he was going to tell my mum I was dead. "I'm alive, you idiot," I said, and stood up. "Dude, we were so scared. You suddenly passed out and fell. You didn't come to your senses for 30 minutes. I thought that was it." "What do you mean? I failed, didn't I?" "Are you crazy? You were lying here until we brought you back to your senses." "So I was just imagining things?" "Apparently. You only shouted, 'My arm! My arm! It hurts!'" I looked at my hand and I was shocked. A 6th finger had grown up next to my little finger, and it was strange, heavy, and yellow in color. I felt it and it looked like metal. And then I realized that it was made of gold. "No way," Josh said. We looked at it for a long time. It became evening and we returned home. I hid my hand and didn't show it to my parents. I ate quickly and went to my room. I looked at my finger, tapped it on the table. I didn't feel it at all. I tried to bite it and also nothing. The next day, the guys and I went to a jewelry store. I showed my finger to the seller. He was surprised and confirmed that it was real gold, and even a sample that he wasn't familiar with. He asked how it happened, and I said it was just a prank and we ran away from there. Josh offered to cut off my new little finger, since I can't feel anything, and sell it. But as soon as he touched it with a knife, Josh was electrocuted. Glenn tried to touch him, and he was also electrocuted. "Am I a superhero now?" I asked the guys. "Yeah, I'll call you Fingertip." "And what should I do with it?" "A According to legend, it must be some kind of gift. He's electrocuted. What kind of gift is that? Am I an electrician now? Damn, I'm thirsty. Glenn, give me a bottle of water. Glenn gave me a drink, and I drank the water all the way down and put the bottle on my finger and said I was going to walk that way now to hide it. We walked a block towards the house, and when I raised my hand to say goodbye, I noticed that the bottle had changed color. It had become gilded. I couldn't believe my eyes, so I took it off, and the guys and I looked at it carefully. Damn, it's really gone gold. Can you use it to turn everything into gold? Asked Josh. I took a stone from the street and held it with my little finger for a while. It also became gold. Then Glenn asked me to gold his watch, and voila, they became gold. It can't be, can it? Yes, yes, yes! I was so excited. My friends and I ran to a jewelry store and sold everything to that guy. He asked again where we got it, but we said it was a secret and ran away. With the money we earned, we bought everything we wanted. I turned everything I wanted into gold, and it was really cool. So I managed to save a good amount of money. The jeweler bought everything from us. He said that the samples were awesome, and that was enough. My life turned into a paradise. I used the gift as I wanted and was satisfied, until one day I was stolen. I was walking home after a walk and almost near the house when I was attacked and shoved into a car. I recognized the jeweler there. "We won't do anything to you. Just tell me where you got this finger from." "I don't know what you're talking about. Let me go. What did I do to you?" "A young boy like you doesn't need such a gift." "What? You think you were the only one hunting on that island looking for a square? My father spent his whole life looking for a finger like yours, and the island took it away. And I spent half my life there to get what you have. I promise I won't tell anyone. Just tell me how you found it." I saw a rainbow and lost consciousness, and then I woke up with my sixth finger. That's it. He didn't believe me at first, and then he said the island had chosen me. "Then here's what we'll do. I'll just cut it off and it won't hurt. I promise," he said. I screamed and struggled and was held by my hands until the jeweler pulled out a knife. But when he touched it, he was electrocuted so hard that his arm was slightly paralyzed. "Damn!" he shouted. The car was rushing through the city. I managed to free my hand a little and I touched it with my finger. It immediately stopped driving and turned into a large piece of gold. Then I accidentally pressed my finger on the foot of the man who was holding me, and it also turned to gold. It looked terrible and frightening. "Ah!" I shouted, "let me go!" I managed to escape, and the jeweler began to cut the car because it had become pure gold. What he did to his mercenary, I don't even want to think about. I ran away from there so fast and returned to the island early in the morning to bring the finger back. But there was no rainbow. Then I started shouting, "Please, take it away. I don't need it. It's cool, but it does more harm than good. I don't want to live like this. I don't need that kind of gold. Take it, please." And then the rainbow appeared. I went after it, fell through, went to the box, and asked again for them to take my finger. The pain shot through me, and I opened my eyes, lying on the ground. The finger was gone, and I was just a normal person again, just like before. And that was the real happiness. I've heard that gold is called blood metal, so I don't need such sacrifices. I'd rather be a regular person than being hunted as an object all my life.
Hi, my name is Ricky. I call myself Sunny Man, and all because my whole body is covered with spots. Can you imagine what it looks like? Do you know how I got them? Now I will share my story, and while you like and share this video with your friends. My family and I live in a sunny country and moved here a few years ago. We used to live in a temperate country. That's where I was born. It was sometimes hot, sometimes cold, sometimes rainy, sometimes sunny. In principle, everything was fine with us. I don't remember that we ever bought sunscreen there. I never even thought about it. I met the conscious part of my life there, went to school, studied for a while, and then my mother was offered to work in another country, and they discussed the issue with my father and decided to move. Of course, I was against it, because I had already made friends. I was used to school and everything was fine. But how could my parents leave me? Of course not. In just a couple of weeks, we quickly packed up and left. Then I didn't think what was waiting for me. When I landed at the airport, I immediately felt the hot, dry air. It seemed to burn my lungs. It was terrible. I drank 0.5 liters of water in 10 minutes. We barely caught a taxi and went to our new apartment. How happy I was to have the air conditioner installed. When we unloaded our things, my mother said that we were here for an indefinite period, so we would have to get used to the local customs. I knew that she was speaking more to me, because my face had been displeased since the flight. I came to a new school, and I was pleased with its appearance because the conditions there were great. My new classmates looked at the American boy curiously, and I felt like a black sheep. I was terribly uncomfortable, but I knew that this was my school now, so I had to try to find common interests with the guys. Just a week later, I already had my own circle. Several guys accepted me into their company and became guides in the city. To be honest, I didn't think there were so many beautiful places. They weren't just beautiful, they were amazing. After all, Dubai is not the same city as on the internet. You need to see it live. As I said, it has its own rules and regulations, but they treated me easier and made allowances because I'm new. While this status suited me, I was just learning everything. A week later, the guys offered to spend the weekend on the coast of the Persian Gulf. It sounded tempting, and I agreed without hesitation. My mom let me go right away, too, because she thought I should make friends here. So I grabbed my swimming trunks and a towel and we drove to a place I didn't know. On the way we stopped at the market, my eyes ran away from the bright colors and so many unfamiliar products, including fruits. Everything glistened on the counter, looked so juicy and appetizing. My friends gave me something sweet that looked like an apple, but I didn't know what I had eaten. After that, we continued on our way. As soon as I got out of the car, a gorgeous sight opened up in front of me. Soft, almost white sand and beautiful water against the background of sunlight. There were other people swimming there, probably tourists, and they all had the same expression as me with a smile. I couldn't wait to take a dip and lie on the warm sand. Maybe I was so impressed because I had never been anywhere before, but at that moment I was really happy about the trip. My new friends looked at me like I was a savage, and I stayed in the water for an hour, swimming. I liked everything so much that I persuaded the guys to go there the next day, so another 9 hours of bathing and tanning were provided for me. I came home happy and tired, and then I came up with the idea, what if we go there every week? As a result, it became my tradition. I went and swam stupidly. I was high. I was crazy. Sometimes I even went alone, because the guys could not always keep me company. But a month later, when I got out of the shower in the bathroom, I looked at myself in the mirror and just freaked out. I got moles on my body, and there were not just a lot of them, but a whole army of spots. I immediately showed them to my mother, who said that this pigmentation is possible due to the fact that I spend too much time in the sun and do not use sunscreen. She gave me hers, I smeared it, but the spots didn't go away. They multiplied before our eyes. After a week on my body, they become many times more. I did not even bother and counted them on my body. There were about 2,000 of them. If you looked at me from a distance, I looked like a dirty man or a spotted cow. When I approached my mother like this, she was really scared. He and Dad grabbed my hand and led me to the doctor. They began to examine my body. I was pleased that the spots were benign, that is, not dangerous to health. But how they spoiled the whole view. I was just getting a little pumped up, and my skin was making me complex. The doctor advised to contact a cosmetologist, but in the meantime, reduce the hours of sun exposure. I tried not to tell anyone about it or show it to anyone, but at one of the lessons at school, my shirt accidentally unbuttoned at the bottom and everyone noticed my spotted stomach. The guys started laughing, and I felt just disgusting. From that moment on, I didn't go to the beach anymore, tried to avoid my classmates, and constantly put on cream. I was lucky that my parents started actively trying to help me. They took me to different salons to see cosmetologists, where I had different procedures to remove these spots. But even after a couple of months, there was no result. As a result, one of the cosmetologists suggested that it's not so much the sun as the climate, which apparently does not suit me. And then the question of my stay in this city became acute. I could see that my mother was very upset, because on one side of the scale was her child, on the other, the work that fed the whole family. I couldn't accept such sacrifices, knowing full well what my mother had to go through to get this position. Although my father worked, my mother's earnings were many times higher. I just told my parents that I had come up with one way out of the situation, and we didn't have to go anywhere. When I told my parents about this, they first thought for a long time, weighed everything, and asked if I really agreed. But I said yes. I took a responsible approach to the decision. I searched for and found what I like. I understood that this is the best way to solve the problem, and besides, it will not only restore my beauty, but also make me even more interesting than I was. So one day, my parents and I, as agreed, went to a tattoo parlor where I was tattooed all over my back. I chose a drawing that I liked. It was a large dragon. Mom and Dad took turns sitting next to me. I must say, the feeling is not very pleasant, even painful, but the result was worth it. The master was found by his father, they gave their consent, and after a few procedures, the drawing was completely filled. To be honest, I really liked the result, so I never regretted that I decided to take such a step. When the skin healed, I invited the guys to go to the beach again. At first, they looked at me incredulously, but I said with confidence that everything was fine. On the beach, they saw my drawing and were shocked, surprised, but praised. I still had to fill whatever was on my stomach, I just had to come up with a drawing. But the very fact that I had solved my problem in this way already gave me confidence. So it took about a year. I didn't get any new pigmentation, but I got another love, tattoos. That's right, it became my hobby. As I said, the back was painted, then the stomach. After a while I stuffed my sleeves. Now I think about my legs and neck. What do parents say? They seem to be used to being like this. At first they tried to stop me, but then when I told them about my feelings and attitude to tattoos, they agreed. Actually, now I am taking courses from an experienced master. Now I want to learn how to beat a tattoo myself. And what? I think it's very cool. What kind of tattoo would you like? Write in the comments.